thank you for carving out the time to turn inwards and dig into your heart and to show up in support for other people in community. And man, it just means the world to me that not only you're here for me, but you're here for all of these other people. And we're here to develop these connections. And if the world could just do more of this, more seeing one another's humanity and allowing space for that humanity to show up, whether we agree or disagree, I think things would really start to shift and change. As I came in, I was talking to Andre. I told him that today, and honestly over the past week, I've been dealing with a lot of grief, a lot of heaviness, a lot of, honestly, I'm not positive where it's coming from. And the reason that I say that is to let you all know that it's okay to show up here however you need to show up here today. I'm going to do that, and I ask and encourage each of you to do that. That's all we can do. As we get going here, just a couple of things to remember. One, you are not taking anyone's time or space by talking on this call. We are all learning from the conversation and questions that you are bringing. And that's your job on this call as we engage with somebody and work through something with them. Your role is to intuit the learnings and the wisdom from that person's situation into your situation. Remember, we are all mirrors for one another. And what I'm going through is what you're going through. And we can all help each other to see more clearly. Also, although this call is being recorded and will make its way to YouTube, if there is anything that you talk about on this call that you do not want on the internet, all you have to do is let me know, and I will edit that piece out of the call. Okay, I do not want this being posted somewhere to stop anyone from bringing what they need to bring today. As we begin communication, remember, love first in what we do. Speak from a place of experience and understanding. Try not to give unsolicited advice or feedback unless that person is asking for it. Try to share from your personal experience. So using I statements instead of this person should be doing this or you should be doing this. So I want to start just with a quick attunement. I need it to settle into the space. So I'm hopeful that it's helpful for all of you guys as well. But just getting to a place where you have a semi-upright spine or straight spine, if that's possible. That could be laying down, that could be sitting up. And if you feel comfortable, just closing your eyes for a second, putting a hand on your heart or on your belly, or maybe one on each, and just taking a few big clearing breaths together. Breathing in love and compassion, letting go of what no longer serves. Breathing in kindness and gentleness, letting go of divisiveness. And now I want to contact the shadow of your SQ. For me, that word is hunger. If you're not sure what the word is, that's okay. Just set your intention on your heart and the things that can close it. And I want you to feel that constriction and trust that it's safe. Trust that the constriction is here to lead us to an opening. Breathe into that suffering, into that tightness. And know that it is a seed that was planted in us by the divine. A seed that with enough care enough water, enough attention, enough focus will turn into a beautiful flower. And now feel the gift of your SQ. Feel that expansiveness in your heart. Feel your ability to water that seed and to turn it into service of the whole. Know that your heart can open to handle anything that comes to you, because all of it is part of your dharma and your karma and the development of your soul. And God or the universe would not put it there if you did not have the ability to handle it. With faith, with trust, with love. And finally, as we continue to water the seed planted in our heart and we turn it into the flower, eventually that plant begins to bear fruit. And that fruit is the city. That fruit is what feeds your soul. That fruit is what feeds the soul of everyone around you, everyone in this room right now. Take that harvest deep into your being, deep into your heart, deep into your belly. And just finishing with a few more breaths here. Big inhales through your nose, big sighing exhale. When you feel ready, coming back into the room, wiggling fingers and toes, coming back into your body. And you can gently open your eyes. Thank you all for allowing me to do that this morning. I know that was a little bit longer than usual, or sometimes I don't do it at all, but as I said, it just felt important to me today. The floor is yours. Whoever is feeling the call to speak or ask a question or share something, please, Jan, go ahead.
Thank you. Hey, good to see everybody. Jay, interesting when you started with the grief and the heaviness. And what immediately showed up for me was that this is the 6 days or the 5.5 days of Gene Key 47.
Yes.
So this is, that's at least, and I'm learning all of this stuff as well, but the whole thing about oppression, transmutation, transfiguration, all karmic issues, and man, have they showed up this week. So I feel you. And what I find interesting is that with the whole idea of contemplation, the moment I see those words showing up in the pulse, and the moment I start reading in the book, and the moment I start listening to, all of this comes up. Right. So a friend of mine, my friend for life, basically had a car accident 19 years ago and eventually passed away after 10 weeks. But that whole thing, literally the whole movie, all of the events, everything that happened that day, the 10 weeks after, and the final 10 days, there is so much oppression in literally basically each and every second there that I'm like, wow, thank you for those words, dear Richard Rudd. Thank you for Gene Key 47. But wow, when you really start contemplating and really feel into it, there's a lot. So that's just what I wanted to put out there first.
Thank you, Jan. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. That shadow of oppression is heavy. It's heavy, and it can be a tough burden to bear. I with 9/11 yesterday and being in the States, that I think is part of it for me also. And it really, I actually posted on my Instagram story today. I still, to this day, those of you that don't know, I was in the Marine Corps, and I still to this day have my sergeant chevrons that pushed into the top of my, like my center console up where my sunglasses go. And it reminds me of the commitment that I made to serve with honor and courage and commitment, and to do my best to fight the oppression that happens around the world. It looks a lot different now than it did then. Back then, it was driven by fear for me, and it was a desire to try and fight the bad guys. And now I know that oppression, of course, is still present, but I know that those bad guys see, at their core, they're driven by the same thing that I'm feeling at my core right now. Maybe is the best way to say it. So thank you. Thank you, Jan.
I can relate to the 47. I have the 47 line 4 in my core wound location. And although I'm fairly new to the gene keys, I have explored that. But boy, that oppression is tangibly real. I don't know if anybody else has the 47. And it mentioned you want to explore the 48. Now, again, I have the 48. I had to check because I needed to check. I have the 48 and at line 4 again. And I'm not quite sure what the line 4 is associated with the 48. Perhaps you can clarify that for me for the moment, Jay.
Line 4 in which sphere?
It's the SQ.
SQ. That
it's the 48. Yeah, you mentioned that, didn't you?
Yep. So that fourth line there is all about belonging. And it's all about showing up in community with an open heart and the ability to see that, basically, honestly, what I was just talking about, the ability to see that we're all dealing with this level of suffering at our core. And there are no shadow keynotes in the SQ for the lines. All of them are, because it is related to the opening of our heart, all of it is in the gift or the Siddhic frequency.
That's good to know. No shadow. That's interesting. Okay. I know you mentioned that you were feeling grief. I've been feeling I was surprised today because even though I'm very aware when the 47 is in transit or the moon transit, because I'm a human design reflector, so I follow the transits of the moon. And I wondered why I was feeling quite low today. As I say, I was surprised, but I have been feeling sort of my sinuses blocked and my energy levels are not very good, and I'm feeling a bit tight in my chest, and I'm thinking, oh no, because I've got ME and my health fluctuates, and it felt oppressive. And I don't know if it was the grief that I felt. I just thought, oh no, coupled with this 47 and then this 48 and the line 4 about belonging and showing, yeah, belonging. I have a real thing about belonging because I've never, as a reflector, I've never really fitted in. I've been on the periphery. With my family, my siblings, it's like they were separate. Thank you for the heart. And so I've spent a lot of my life being at home with myself. And again, because I'm a reflector, I want to explore different groups. So I'm in several different groups. And some I really feel a bond with. And some I'm a bit iffy with. I'm not sure. There's a question mark whether I'm going along the same lines. I'm an artist and I belong to an artist group. It's interesting you're talking about belonging. And one of the jobs of the reflector is that you see the trajectory of where groups and societies going. And we tend to be one of the ones to see that early. In this group, I can see that the platforms that we were using to showcase our work and do stuff was getting more constricted, which is like a canal rather than a river, and has a very masculine and constrained way of approaching a creative process. And so I was doing a sort of comparison, but also the person who was editing was being a gatekeeper. And in the end, for this project, my episode, I'm not doing it because I could not, and I keep losing the word, but I could not, all of me wasn't there, wasn't together, wasn't aligned. Although I would say, this is important, this is the group I'm in, we're doing this thing, I've contributed to all the other episodes, and this is my opportunity to do it. But because this part was rejected, I'm saying how, so there was, and because it was rejected, so I needed to deal with those issues of rejection. And then there was the part that this person was a gatekeeper. And then how to handle that without pointing fingers. So the way that I approached it was the canal and the river. Hopefully that they will see that without pointing fingers. And in the process of me doing this, and I was very careful with my words, I admitted my shortcomings to make sure that I find deadlines really difficult, because my energy fluctuates, and sometimes just surviving can be difficult. So sometimes I do have difficulties with deadlines, which the person who was editing finds really difficult. We trigger each other. I admit that. Well, I'm triggered by him, and it appears to me that he's triggered to me. Anyway, so when you mentioned about this 48, and it's about, you said that the shadow's not there, so it's resourcefulness and wisdom. Resourcefulness, I would say that I'm pretty resourceful. I was 7 years bedbound, and my worst, I couldn't speak, to write or draw, anything like that. Couldn't stand light, noise, touch, all the rest of it. But, and I was described as a vegetable, but in my head I was creating art, writing poetry, playing games, just to keep me sane and to survive. So I am resourceful, and I usually find ways to do with it, or of working with a client. Thank you. But this line 4 about belonging is a real issue for me. And I'm not quite sure what the solution is, whether I need to delve deeper about my rejection, this fear of rejection, which I have been done with my family. They didn't speak to me for 2 years because I didn't do what they wanted me to do. And so it is tender. So if anybody could offer advice for me, I'd be very welcome. Thank you so much for listening.
Of course, Carol. Will you give me and all of us a little bit of clarity around, are we talking advice so that you feel more belonging and acceptance?
It's just that something that I can work on to help me feel more belonging. Is there anything that you can, it seems obvious to you, because sometimes it's difficult to see that for ourselves, isn't it? So I'm welcoming you to mirror me, being a reflector. I'm asking you to mirror.
Understood. Alex, did you have something that you wanted to share with Carol, or is this something separate?
Yeah. Is my microphone working?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Carol, I feel that so deeply. And I don't know if it's because I know that I'm a starseed and that's why I don't really feel like I belong here, but I didn't even know I was a starseed until like last year. So that was like a whole lifetime of not understanding, why don't I fit in? Why don't I belong? And what really helped me, and I don't know if this would be similar for you, is just to know that we came here to be the way showers. We came here to create a new world. Like we came here, like the reason why we don't belong is because we were here to envision something new, and we're not meant to confine into what has already been created, like all the constructs and the collective wounding. Like we're not here to settle for that. Like we're here to create something new. And also like communities like this, that will help us to actually feel connected. I was before, like, even during COVID, I was like, really, virtual groups, can we really feel connected in a virtual setting? Like, I need to be in person. And this year I realized, wow, why haven't I been doing these virtual groups? These are amazing because we're all quantumly entangled. So it's real. Like we can feel each other. Just finding communities like this is so key, and having Jay host these communities is amazing. And just to know that the way that you feel, a lot of us feel like that. I feel so deeply like I'll never belong, but I had to let go of being understood. I wanted that so deeply for people to understand me, but really it's like just being okay with me understanding
My
myself
internet's gone a bit
and
funny.
just like peeling back all those layers. Oh, can you hear me? Uh-oh. My sound
So
just
You're
you're
good. You're
breaking
good.
up,
Oh,
and I
okay.
don't know if it's me.
Oh,
Say again, Carol.
say it again.
Sorry, I didn't hear because you were breaking up.
Oh, yes. I was just saying that just letting go of like being understood by others, because I wanted that so deeply, to be understood. And instead, just like peeling back the layers for myself of understanding myself by doing that through things like the gene keys, and just really being able to be okay with not anyone understanding me. And it also took me my whole life to even get to this point of understanding myself. So of course others aren't going to understand me. It's really a little complex. So giving people that grace too. And it's interesting that you guys brought up the gene key 47, because before I got on the call, my intention was to ask Jay, I don't know why I don't exactly resonate with my gene keys, but then also anytime I use my birth chart for like my astrology or anything, there's not a lot of stuff I resonate with, but my purpose on the gene keys is 47, and that was the only thing I resonated with. I was like, okay, this one I know I resonate with. So that's interesting that everyone brought up 47. And because I don't exactly resonate with my life's work sphere, right now I'm just going through the huge Gene Keys book, looking at the shadows that I feel. And I'm like, okay, where are my shadows, even if it's not on my chart? And me reading those is really helping me. Like I was reading Gene Key 9, it's not on my chart, but the inertia, oh my gosh, that shadow of inertia, of not being able to move, and then flowing into like determination. It's about the human will and how it can be used and abused. And for me, like I'm a recovering workaholic, so I resonate with all of that, and not getting into burnout things of like overworking. And so I don't know if other people don't exactly resonate with their full chart. Maybe I just don't understand mine, but that is what I've been doing.
Yeah, it'll come in layers. And I'll circle back with you, Alex. I want to finish up with Carol. But I think that there's a lot of people that feel the same way. In fact, in some of the earlier calls, one of the big things we talked about is that people were resonating with their radiance and their purpose, which are unconscious spheres, but not with their life's work and their evolution, which are conscious spheres. And they're like, how does this work when I'm like, these things are a deeper part of me, and yet that's what I'm feeling. So you're definitely not alone on that front, and we'll circle back to it. Carol, for you, I have a question of the whole room, and you can just hold up your hand, or if you want to hit the hand button. But how many people in this room either currently feel like they don't belong, or have at some point in their life felt like they don't belong? So that is the entire room, Carol.
Okay.
And so what I want to remind you of is that by all of us not belonging or feeling that we don't belong, we belong together. That is the thing that unifies us together. So that's one piece. You're welcome. Another piece that I want to ask you, and this is a little bit more just practical advice or specific advice, or questions even. Is there a part of you that within yourself feels like it does not belong?
I suppose I really would like being ill not to belong as part of me, but it's been part of me for almost half of my life. And it's been really difficult to live with, although I do the best I can. I'm still studying and I'm still doing stuff, even though I might not be able to go out. I'm still here, active and doing what I can.
Have you ever done anything to communicate with that part of you?
You need to remind me what the first question was. Oh,
Sure.
for the illness.
The question was, is there any part of you that feels like it doesn't belong within yourself? And the illness was the answer that you gave me. And then my question, my follow-up, have you ever tried to communicate with that part of yourself?
What I've been doing over the last 18 months or so is about whatever I'm feeling, whether I've got an infection or I'm unwell, is doing my best to hold it with loving compassion and no judgment and just watch, just hold it. And that's what I've been doing.
Beautiful.
And it's really held. But of course, there's just sometimes it's unexpectedly, like today.
Of course.
Yeah.
So I want to offer you just a practice that I've been doing over the past week that has helped me, that's a little bit more active instead of, sometimes the masculine in me needs that. It needs some action oriented instead of just the feminine being with it. And so the practice that I used, and it has just brought up tears after tears this week, is journaling to that part of myself. So I'll write down my name, Jay, and then I'll ask myself a question like, why are you feeling this grief right now? And then I'll just go into a contemplative, open awareness and try and feel for the part of me that is feeling that grief. And typically I can identify it somewhere in my body. And once I have it identified, then I just try to turn the thinking part of my mind off and let my hand just write, and whatever needs to come up or come through in that writing. And then from there, typically you'll get to a place where your higher self chimes back in and asks the next question. And it just allows you to get to a place of depth with that part of you and allows it to express itself and allows it to start to feel like it can come back into your body and back into belonging within yourself. And as above, so below. So the reason I'm asking this is I believe that if all parts of your body feel like they belong, then you will feel like you belong.
Yeah. It's not that I haven't done this, but it's like the universe wants me to go deeper and looking at this loss because it's a bloody damn big loss. I'm just eager and I have so much kind of energy, but not energy. It's like amazing and they two clash, which can bring up conflict, of course, which is not easy to live with.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jade. I will try that. That when you said it, I felt that in my heart, and I felt in my solar plexus, and I thought, oh, that is something I need to do. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes. And I just want to resonate with you on your body. My body sounds like maybe not the same as you, obviously, but I too, for years, have just gone from a place of being totally connected and super physical to having that pulled away from me. And it was my identity. I owned a gym. It was who I was. And so thank you. Somebody started to talk and I cut you off. I'm sorry, please.
Yeah, Carmen Ray here. I just wanted to add a piece if I could, Jay.
Please.
I used to worked in trauma resolution. So helping people basically resolve PTSD or whatever else they figured they wanted resolved in their life. And so the journaling, that's another version of it. another way of doing it.
Mhm.
So it is the only piece that I would add to that is to follow through. You know, if you're starting with something that you're feeling in your body in a particular spot, place, whatever, if you can pinpoint it and you journal to yourself around that, to just keep journaling and stay with it
Mhm.
until you cannot find in your mind's eye, if you've got a flashlight and you're searching around in there for more, you simply can't find more. There's no more charge left
Mhm. Mhm.
to whatever was connected to that body manifestation.
Mhm.
Because once there's no more charge, absolutely no more charge left, you've resolved it.
Yeah, that's the way that I know that I've gotten there is when the tears start flowing, right? And I can feel
Yeah.
it going from inside of me to outside of me.
Yeah.
And it feels each time I do it, there's what I tell people when I work with them, when I tell myself over and over again, is that the permission here isn't that you need to heal the entirety of this wound right this moment. However, we can get a nice big scoop of whatever that wound is and set it aside. And then I think the universe, the reason that we are passing through 47 right now, probably part of the reason I'm feeling this grief is that so I will turn and be able to take that next scoop out.
Yeah. And I didn't mean to sound like you're all finished.
Yeah.
You're all finished for
No,
where
that's
you're
not what I
at.
heard.
You're,
Yeah.
you're all finished for where you're at.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh no.
Thank you. Thank you, Carmen.
I love that 47. When I read it, I was so grateful for it because everybody else, I've just gone through boatloads of grief and boatloads of stuff in my life. And I thought, wow, this is so affirming. Man, I love it. I could read it and be all heavy about it, but no, I was so really, really happy to know. It really confirmed in me how much I have worked through. And so it was great. It was great. I thought, yeah.
I agree. Sharon, I see you trying to chime in here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jay and Carol, and everybody's contribution on this. I'd like to add one more layer that I have practiced for many years, and it is a Tibetan Buddhist process for cleansing. It's called Feeding Your Demons, and it was translated from Tibetan into English through a female monk, or her name is Sultram Aleoni, and you can find it on YouTube. The one process that goes, it's a conversation with that part in your body to where you actually find that pain in the physiology, and then you give it a color and a texture, a consistency. And the prompts are then to bring it out of your body. And as you do, you personify it, arms and legs and face, and just see it in front of you. And there's a series of questions that you ask it. The beauty is that you're saying, what do you need? And in my work that I do with people, I'm doing this consistently, and it is the gift of being seen. It's outside of us. It's not us. It's that which was trapped. That subconscious mind as a young child, or DNA, or wherever it came from, it's trapped inside of us, and it feels so lost and so unseen that it throws tantrums to be noticed. And here it is. If you can set up through the journaling this loving sanctuary, it's like a splinter that is saying, is it safe to come up now? And you say, yes, come out. And you see it in front of you. And in the dialogue with what's on in the YouTube with Sultram Oleoni, she actually has you get up physically and move across to a chair in front of you and become that which is now outside your body, personified, and express what that in you means. And it's a dialogue exchange. The beauty is there's never an answer given other than reaching into your own heart and bringing out nectar and feeding it to that which has become a demon in you. And you watch it, however it drinks it, bathes in it, whatever. And then she does something really astute. She says, now what are you noticing about it? Oh, sure enough, oh, it's got these glistening scales of iridescence, or, oh, it's changed genders, or, oh. And then you ask it, are you now my ally? And sometimes it says, or would you like to be set free? I don't know if she says that or if I made that up, because sometimes it's like, I'm out of here. And then it says, I want to be your ally. And you realize it's because it knows your shadow. It's finally free. It wants to be a love. It wants to be re-embodied, to empower you, to champion you, to be that precious little one that's been trapped in fear and anger and suffering. And it wants to come back in. And the reunion is sweet. And as we know, the physiology that holds and the potentiality, I've been practicing it for 10 years. But now I've integrated into that which I do for others. And that's a whole nother conversation. That's why I came on to acknowledge Andre for last call, for encouraging me to pull another my gene keys on a significant day in my life. But I'll save that for another call, because this is so beautiful for you, Carol. And I'm grateful for this community. And it is in these containers of love. And what has been shown to me is that the belonging is at such a high frequency of connection and communing that what we belong to is an energetic field of love that we are bringing in our own unique ways and within these fractals. And so the belonging is, I say, inhale it like warm baked bread. Just, that's what I belong to. So,
Beautiful. Thank you
Well
so much,
said.
Sharon.
That was
Thank-
wonderful. Thank you, all of you. Thank you so much. Much appreciated.
I have to say that I'm starting to feel better. So whatever we're doing is working. So thank you all for being here. This is about me today. You guys didn't know that. Surprise. I want to give Sharon a quick shout out, maybe is the word that I'll use here. So Sharon is a hypnotherapist. And she reached out to me on Instagram out of the blue and out of the kindness of her heart, offered to do a session with me. And it was incredibly impactful. And so if there is anyone in this room that thinks that might be a helpful thing, I'm sure that Sharon, maybe you can type in the chat a way to contact you. And I promise it will be worth your time. So thank you for that. Thank you for being here, for being you. Essentially what Sharon just walked us through was, it's interesting, but that's the 47th gift, right? That is transmutation. She just gave us a process and it's shadow work.
Yeah.
That is what we do with every single one of our shadows. That is the process. We turn towards them and we ask them what they need.
And the gift in the hypnotherapy is that I have to preface that on 4th of July, 2020, my son, Christopher, firefighter and paramedic, ascended. He returned to spirit. But on the 3rd of July, while on conversation with him on the phone, what I experienced is called a shared passing. His soul moved through my body. and showed me where we come from, what we are made of. And it's a longer story, but just to say that through that experience, I had to decide, what am I going to become to share this gift with humanity? And I couldn't just write a book or do a TED Talk, because you're just listening. You're just listening to somebody. I wanted to support people to receive for themselves firsthand, because so much of it is nonverbal, it's cellular. And I got pissed at my son in spirit, because we were dialoguing for months on end. And I said, damn it, you tell me what to become. I'll become anything, because I can only be of love and service. And he guided me to become a certified hypnotherapist. And I went back to school and I studied and I'm practicing, and it is transforming people's lives. And it was, Jay, it was in your YouTube where you said, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just here giving. I'm like, that's where I'm at. People who are so vulnerable. And ironically and not ironically, the reason my son is no longer here physically is because he was riding a motorcycle and there was a collision on the freeway with a drunk driver. Now, I already knew that it was all preordained and orchestrated. So there was no blame. I didn't spend any time in that story. And I was very alone in that. But now I am the on-site hypnotherapist at a very highly regarded and respected residential rehab center for people detoxing from drugs and alcohol. And they found me. Yeah. They requested my presence. And it was on 4th of July that I said, yes, I want to work, because this is my son's anniversary and he's the reason I became a hypnotherapist. And I feel this little nudge, and it's, Mom, you're a little slow on the uptake. We are serving the very community of people that contributed to my departure from the earth. And it wasn't an epiphany. It was peace. It was bliss. It was stillness. And Richard talks about that. And thank goodness the Gene Keys are here, because I would have thought the absence of feeling would have felt like something's wrong with me. But now I know that in that wholeness, in that completeness, it is still. And this is a new way of receiving. This is a new way of communing and contributing. And Jay, your presence, my God, I was so dark 3 days ago, and I found YouTube, that guided meditation that you did. And I walked and I wept, because where else do we find this that bridges? We are bridges. We are not off on something. We are right here saying what Richard says, I am here to love. I am here to serve. I am here to love. I am here to serve. And then I say, but it's such a kerfuckery, because it's this paradox. But I'm so grateful that we are in this together. And Jay, I truly do love you. And I know that Christopher brought us together as a Navy SEAL himself, and you in the military, and then just a little bit that I know about you. They just keep nudging us, so follow. And thank you for helping me come to tears, because I don't often, because I don't feel in community with those who can feel, not know. I don't want to know what you know. I just want to be in resonance with what you feel. Bless each and every.
Thank you so much, Sharon. And I love you too. I'm so grateful that we were able to be connected.
Me too, sweetie.
Daniel, I see a hand up from you. Did you want to contribute? Daniel Thomas. Okay, we'll head over to Jan then, please.
I just love how this session is unfolding, where it started with your heaviness and Gene Key 47, and then Carol, and then everybody contributing. And I just wanted to share what I just heard, Sharon, and what you said when you said be of love and service. What I heard is the perfect summary of the Gene Keys, all 64 of them. Because when you said be, for me, that was like, that's the genius part, right? That's the first part of the whole journey. Love is the Venus sequence and service is the pearl. So be of love and service. Here you got your summary. You don't need to read the book anymore. And of course, there's plenty more words to it. So I love what you just did there. And I also want to thank you for defeating the dragon, because as you were sharing with us, and this is just me doing my thing, I had to do a quick look at Sultim Aleona. I need to practice on the name, but it's interesting. The first part that you described about the physiology, the giving it a color, the temperature, and the whole thing around it is one of the key things we use in transformational coaching as well. And it's interesting, this is a conversation Jay and I had a while ago, that one thing is looking at the shadows, the other thing is looking at our daily life. And this is like the conversation we had 2 weeks ago as well about the healing, right? We're all focused on the healing as in, hey, but what would happen if we just quote unquote start living our lives and see what shows up? And then with whatever does show up really in front of us, then use the process that you just described, Sharon. Because whatever shows up, the shadows will show up definitely, no discussion whatsoever. But when we just look at what's in front of us and what we experience right now, and then we would go to, if it's really something of substance, to the process you described. I often ask people when they have a challenge to figure out their thoughts first. And this is going back to what was shared before as well. And then allow the feeling to be there. And then you get this whole conversation about temperature and color and the texture and everything. But then ask one very big question, and I'm not sure if that's in the process that you described. And that question is, what is the first time that you can remember having had that physical sensation before? And what's interesting, because we were talking about that charge before and actually getting rid of the charge, or decoupling the charge, as I like to call it, when we go to resolve, there is a connection between what we're experiencing right now and what was imprinted in any point in our life, whatever point that was. Quite often childhood, could be teenage life, could be young adult, could be, as in my case that I can recall, a couple of years ago when something happened. But the process, the start of the process is the same. The thing is, what is hard for you to do today? And when you think about that, what are the thoughts that show up when you try to do that? And then find out in your body what you're actually, or just allow in your body, not even finding out, just allow in your body to sense it. And once you sense it, that one question, what is the first time, or one of the first times I can actually remember having had this physical sensation before? Memories will start to show up. And this is, Jay, what you said, this taking the scoop out of the wound. It may not be the first one, it may not be the biggest one, it may not be the worst one, but something is going to show up. And when we do that over and over again, when this thing shows up in our life, not to dig in deep into the trauma, but really to live our lives. And then when it shows up, to start figuring it out. We'll take small scoops, big scoops, and all of a sudden the whole thing starts rolling. So thank you for sharing the name, but also the feeding the dragon idea. And thank you for the be of love and service.
Thank you. Yeah. When I engage in that practice that I cracked the seal on, that journaling practice, 9 times out of 10, it takes me back. Like the last time I did it, it was a 12-year-old version of myself. And I was after school and I felt alone because I was a single mom and she was working. And it was like a part of me that just felt, man, everything's connected. It didn't belong. That there was just this piece of me that wasn't good enough to be seen or supported or heard or loved. And it was just asking for those things, similar to what Sharon said. I was just asking for that love and for that attention. A deal, if I'm not butchering your name, do you want to pop on and ask, or do you want me to just answer your question? Okay, so what Adil said in the chat is, could you explain further about identifying the sensation? And I think this is worth our time and energy right now. So for me, and I'm sure everyone's process is a little bit different here, I was disconnected from my emotions for 30 years. Didn't feel anything. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel sad. I just was numb. I was, at least consciously, right? Unconsciously, I know that there was a lot going on below the surface. What got me back in contact with those feelings is starting to build what I call a feeling map. And I'm sure there's actual words for this. This is just a process I figured out on my own. So N of 1 here, take that with a grain of salt. But I started to map out, basically, when I felt a sensation in my body, this is the emotion that I think it might be representing. So what I mean by that, for example, is when I feel anger, my face gets really hot and I get like a tingling sensation in my hands. When I have anxiety, I feel my chest almost feels like it's collapsing, and I have this butterfly feeling in my stomach. And gradually, feeling after feeling, and I for a period of time, for probably 90 days, I was keeping a journal. Every time I would feel a feeling, I would write down the sensation in my body. And then what that allows you to do is have this map. For somebody that was emotionally repressed like me, it allowed me to start to build a key, almost like a legend for a map, right? Okay, this is what, and gradually I just started to put the pieces together. But there will be, if this is all new for you, I had a really hard time with this 10 years ago when I first started this path and journey of, what do you mean that there's an energy in my body, or that there's something that I can feel somewhere as it relates to a thought or an emotion? Like, it just felt so foreign. And so, Adil, what I encourage you to do is just set the intention to start to notice that. And it will, given some time, with patience and with gentleness, you will start to feel on a deep level things that are happening in your body and in your awareness. And it's like this whole new set of information opens up to you. It's just like seeing, except it's some other sense that we don't fully and completely understand at this point. And so if you think about all the information that you get with seeing and with hearing and all of your physical 5 senses, imagine having 5 more senses. That's what it feels like when you start to build this map and develop all of these connections. I hope that answers your question a little bit. Adil, your hand is up now. Do you want to chime in?
Yeah, hi y'all. I really appreciated what you were saying about identifying the sensation. I think that, like, I was practicing recently identifying the physical sensation. I related to what you were saying about anxiety and like your chest kind of constricting or collapsing. I don't know why, but it helps if I tap that physical part of me, and it just brings it brings me out of my mind and like to the present and in the moment, and then like I'm able to, what is it, like, identify, but also just allow it to be. Thank you guys.
Absolutely, dude. Did you come upon that intuitively, the tapping?
It just happened. I don't
Yeah.
know.
So I don't know but that is like a very common practice and a tool that is taught to people to deal with their emotions. So you stumbled onto something naturally that is like a very powerful tool.
That's so interesting. It just happened one day. I was just sitting there and I started to realize, oh wow, I think that this is anxiety. I think that this is what I'm identifying as anxiety. And I just started tapping like right here. And it just helped, like, maybe the vibrations, maybe it was like the actual physical sensation, but it just helped bring me down and to like accept it for what it was, because I had a big issue with saying it was anxiety. I don't know why I was rejecting that. Maybe I felt like it was oversaturated in the media. Maybe I felt, and excuse me, but maybe I thought it was a little cringe. But just like accepting that and being like, okay, no, this is what my bodily response to this emotion is. I don't know. That's been like leaps and bounds. Thank you
Totally.
guys.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you for turning your camera on. I know it was scary for you. I appreciate you. Okay, I've got Valerie and Alex. Whoever wants to chime in, please.
Yeah. So first I want to say I just this morning, Adil, did I get the name right? Yeah. Just this morning, I ran into something on YouTube where this lady, and I posted on Facebook because this lady was talking about we are limited in our vocabulary about how we identify with the things that are happening with us. And so maybe it's possible that this anxiety that you're feeling, right? Maybe the anxiety is not the root. What's the root of the anxiety? And maybe that's why you're not wanting to use the word anxiety, because maybe it's deeper than that. What is at the root of it that is then coming up as anxiety? And just a thought to tap deeper into it. So yeah, that's beautiful. And I just wanted to also add, just to piggyback on to what Jay was saying, because I don't know if there are any other body workers here, like anybody that does massage or Reiki or anything. I don't know. But if there are, a technique that I've been really tapping into as far as body goes and how we feel in our own bodies is actually in the point of service where we're connecting, because for me, I always say we're working together. It's a team effort with my clients. It's not just me. But what I've been really focusing on is I was learning, because of the gene keys and the human design, and learning how to say hell yes or hell no to things. I've been learning like what yes feels like in my own body versus what no feels like in my own body. So now as I work with clients, right, and I'm working with them, I can actually feel as I'm making the movement, oh, that's close. Oh, I'm almost there. And then as soon as I hit the point where it's creating relief in their body, I feel my heart space just like spherically just go, ooh. And then I'm like, ah. And then they'll be like, ah. And it's 99 out of 100 times it hits. I'm not even kidding. It's not like at this point now, it's just so synergistic. And what I tried to explain to one of my clients last night, because she's like, how do you do that? And I was trying to explain to her, it's us. We're doing this together. So I'm just receiving. I'm an open vessel here. All I'm doing is receiving. It's not me. It's just me paying attention. That's it. I pray before I start. I pray, please, to show me what needs to happen right now. Then I receive. And then I get in that state where I feel like my chakras are aligned, like I can just feel that, how it goes through my whole body. So I get into that state, so I'm open. So then anything that comes through, it can't stay. It just goes out. So sometimes it's emotion, sometimes it's pain, like whatever it is that they're experiencing, we connect like that. But my no is, I feel pressure on the top of my head, like my crown is being pushed, like it's not open and flowing. And I feel that pressure, and that's my no. So that's when I know I'm not doing the right thing. And I've confirmed this over and over now with my clients. So just if you guys have some body work experience and you want to apply that, because I didn't know before until now that we can actually feel in our bodies yes and no's for the people that we're working with. So anyway, I just wanted to share that because I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of the work that I've been doing with people, and honestly, a lot of my personal work right now is about letting go of the fear that blocks the channel, right? It blocks the ability for the divine presence to come through me, and in my case, vibrate my throat anytime I am in my head, it's my ego that are the words, right? And the reason that it is so important to do our shadow work, to pay attention, and like Jan said, you don't have to seek them out. I promise they will find
Right.
you.
Exactly. Exactly.
But as they come, transmuting, to get back to the 47, that energy into the gift. And that's where the creativity comes from that Richard talks about in the gift. The creativity is the divine expressing through you.
Yes.
But with that fear there's like a severing in the channel. And so the potential that you have to impact somebody or to feel somebody, like Val is talking about, is just subverted to that fear. And so that's why it's so important to open your heart and to get in touch with this deep feeling that you are supported and that you can trust that what you're doing, what you're saying is the thing that somebody needs to hear, even if it makes zero sense to you.
Yeah. And I feel like when we're one-on-one, and I'll share a vulnerable piece of myself right now, but when we're one-on-one, I feel like it's really important for us to be in a good space. So like last week, I don't know, 4 or 5 days ago, my radiance, and probably one of the hardest things I've suffered from in my entire life, my radiance is 24. And so the shadow is addiction. And then the gift is invention, and the city is silence, which I'm not good at that, but that's okay. But the addiction piece of it, I have been on and off with alcohol. 2020 hit, I lost everything, and I went balls deep. I think maybe 5 days out of the whole year I didn't drink. Like, it was really bad. I've been doing really good. And so I thought, oh, I'll just go have a couple drinks. And I'm not like a never drink person, but I've really been practicing mindful drinking, and I'll go maybe 2 months and then go have a couple of beers or whatever. But I got on a 3-day like little track. The first 2 days I was fine. The third day I drank myself silly. I woke up the next day I think I was still drunk actually from the night before. I wasn't even hungover. And I had 2 clients that I had to call. And I was completely honest with both of them. And I bawled my head off. I'm like, so sorry. But if I come to work on your body right now, then I am doing neither of us any justice. And I'm very grateful that they've been my clients and we're really close like that. And it's beautiful, but it was really tough. So talk about 47, which is also in my jinkies. This last week I could feel it. I can feel it. But anyway, I really feel like that there's also a thing to that, because we have to really center ourselves, right? Before we work on someone else, we really have to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. It's so important.
As I get further down the path, especially in doing this type of work, what I'm realizing, or what I have fully come to terms with, is that my main job has nothing to do with making a YouTube video, has nothing to do with hosting these calls, has nothing to do with writing. My job is to keep myself in an energy space of love and service, period, the end. And that is hard work for me, as I am right now. And I don't know that it's hard work forever. I don't know that it's hard work for everyone, but I can speak my current situation.
Yes.
And the reason for that is that it's not like a 9 to 5, right? You don't get to switch it off when you get home at night. You have to stay in that energy all the time, or as often as is humanly possible. I don't have unrealistic expectations of myself. I know that things are going to slip
Absolutely.
at times. And I know that the sooner that I can allow, accept, embrace whatever came up and whatever happened and release, to be able to get back to centeredness, that is the work. That's it, over and over. Okay, I see Alex's hand up, and then we'll head over to you, Carmen.
Yes. So first, I have a couple questions, but I just wanted to give everyone praise for how amazing you guys are. I know Sharon just left, but oh my goodness, that was so amazing. And then Valerie and Adil, and Jan, and everyone. Jay, thank you so much. I just wanted to let Jay know how I found you. So I'm friends with Andre, and he was talking to me about, because we've been talking about Gene Keys, and then he's, oh, there's someone on YouTube that does this really good job of describing it. And I don't remember the name that he said or the channel that he said. So I was just one day, like weeks later, Googling, because I wasn't understanding it, and I have the courses and everything. And usually I get things really fast and I learn really fast and I understand it pretty well. So that's why I was like, but also because I started with life's work and then I did something different. I started with the purpose and then everything made more sense for me. Like you said, like I resonate with my radiance and purpose, but not so much life's work and evolution. So working on that. But then I found you even though I didn't know your name. Like I didn't even know that I was watching the same channel that he was recommending. And when I found your channel, I just want to let you know that I even told my friend at the time that I was like, you don't understand. This person is explaining it in the exact way that needs to be explained for it to be understood and actually used and like in a practical way and all this stuff. And I was just thankful that you did your channel and you explained it. I know Richard is amazing, but we needed you to explain it to us. He's amazing inventing us, but inventing it, but we needed you and your frequency to explain it. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I guess one of my first questions is like, there's so much knowledge and like what Andre calls like the wisdom well deep inside me of everything I've learned that I know I'm meant to be a teacher. Like, I just know that's just a path I came to earth to do. And my question is, because you were vulnerable and said, I'm not sure what I'm doing, but I'm still doing it. What is it that you do in order to get yourself to do compassionate self-discipline? I'm a solo entrepreneur that has a million things that has to be done. And I don't even know how to do half of them, but I have to figure it out. So you're like military. So I know you have discipline. And I'm just wondering if you have any advice of like, how do you do practical, self-compassionate discipline to do the things that are scary that you don't want to do, or you literally just don't want to do working out or something, but also to step into, like, I know I'm supposed to be on YouTube, like teaching and different things. So like, how did you just say, no, I'm doing this, even if I don't feel 100% confident of like exactly what I'm doing right now?
So first, thank you for your kind words, and I'm grateful that you stumbled across it and found it and it landed for you. It's, as I've said in a lot of those videos, and maybe this goes to starting to answer some of your question, I didn't do it to help anyone in the beginning. Like, I was doing them to scratch my own itch. I was doing them because talking about something is how I can fully process information. So that's one component of it. Another piece that I'll say as part of my character, and this is also a blessing and a curse, is I too am an entrepreneur at heart and a risk taker. And just the way that I am is I jump off the cliff and then figure out how to make the wings on the way down. So that is a big part of why I don't have, some people have the perfectionism thing where it needs to be perfect before it gets shipped. I have the opposite problem, which is I'm like, nah, that's 75% of what I wanted it to be. That's close enough. We'll get it up there. So giving myself that permission has been really helpful. As things have progressed and I have realized that I wanted to make this my vocation, what it comes back to now, and this speaks to the discipline piece, is I used to have, I think, the kind of discipline that you're thinking that you need, which is this very militaristic. I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I do a 90-minute morning routine. I work out every single day. I eat super clean. I had a 9-mile checklist of all the shit that I told myself that I needed to do to feel like I could show up to my maximum potential. And I would do that shit because of discipline, right? Half the time I had no desire to do it. And I had, the only reason that I did it is because honestly, it was like punishment to myself. It was like, you are a piece of shit and you need to get yourself better. And that means you have to check all of these boxes and do all of these things, because that's how you're going to be a better person. Because I'm not whole right now. And what I've come into is this place of compassionate discipline. This place of, to use your words, this place of, I'm disciplined not because I feel like I need to be disciplined. I'm disciplined because that is what allows me to show up in service. I'm disciplined because I know that when I make that video, it's going to cause someone to have a shift in their world. I'm disciplined because I know that I am connected to God, that I am a part of God. And that it is my responsibility to act that way.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is you're focusing on your mission and your why and the outcome. And my question is, did you ever deal with imposter syndrome, that just the inner critic saying this isn't actually going to help people? Because of course that's all I want, is to help people, but then it's like, are you even ready for this? Is it like all these things that come
Who
up?
are you? Who are you to decide that what you put out to the world is going to be helpful for somebody or is going to not be helpful for somebody?
That's what I needed to hear. Yes. Yes. I have no, yeah, exactly. That's
All
true.
you can do is just be yourself and do it in front of a camera. That's what I tell myself every time I go to shoot a video is, okay, I used to, in the early days, full disclosure, like the first 3, maybe even 6 months of the channel, which is like now 6 months ago is the end of that 3 to 6 months. It was, a lot of it was an act, quote unquote. It was like, I have a script and these are the things that I'm needing to say. And if I don't do this, I'm going to shoot it over 17 times. And I had to let all of that go. And when I did that, what happened is I started getting tens of emails a week, like 10, 20 emails a week of people being like, dude, I'm connecting. Like, just people feel that. People feel when you are just yourself and you're real. And so as an entrepreneur, I want to encourage you to stay away from all the marketing gurus that are out there that are telling you that you need to hit these quick cuts and grab people's attention and put the emojis all over everything and have an offer that ends with a 7 and have this online course. And like, all of that is bullshit. What people want is you. And so you have to do the work to get to a level that you believe in yourself and are comfortable enough in yourself to just share that. We can't hide behind the frameworks anymore.
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you're saying these things. This is all, I've also been highly trained in marketing. And that's all I keep hearing is, do you have a framework? Do you have a framework? I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to figure it out as I go. Okay. Like, I have to start somewhere. So yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Was that helpful? Hopefully a little.
Yes. And if, for example, do you have days where you don't want to work out? What do you tell yourself then? Like when you know you're supposed to like do that kind of stuff?
100% I do. And it either goes one of 2 ways at this point. Either I don't work out, which has taken a lot of work to let go of the fact that makes me less than. Or I do work out, but it's just, I let go of the plan, maybe is a way of saying it. I show up, but I just do whatever feels good instead of feeling like I need to do 5 sets of 5 back squat, deadlift, and bench press. It's really just what feels good.
Okay. Thank you.
But isn't that what it's really all about? Do what's right, do what feels right. And if it doesn't feel right, figure out why it doesn't feel right. I think that's what we were talking about before with the physical sensations as an example. That whole thing, you'll feel it. You must have felt a pressure on your shoulder, what you said, Jay, the throat or the lump, the knot in your stomach or whatever it is, those are the physical sensations. And when you start feeling those, you can pause and take a step back and say, hey, what is this? Is this me thinking or is this me feeling something physically right now? And Alex, I love what you just said, and I'll keep it really short. This imposter syndrome, I heard somebody else say it this week, and I put it in the chat as well. For me, what showed up immediately was imposed syndrome. Because you're not born with this stuff, right? Something happened, you've had an experience, whatever it was, somebody made a stupid remark, and you were like, and I cannot do this. And if you figure out, or if that's the thing stopping you, the moment you feel that imposter syndrome, the moment you have the thought in your mind, yeah, I can put this out in the world, but nobody is waiting for that. Pause right there and literally say, what other thoughts do I have right now about myself or about whatever I'm doing? Where does it show up in my body? And then ask that one question that I shared with you before. What is a memory I can remember? Because you don't have access to all of them. What is a memory I can remember when that first showed up? And that starts to show you stuff. And by the way, frameworks. I love frameworks. There's a big one here behind me. I just did a video on this today. That's another one. I'm not going to go into the details there, but what Jay just said about those videos. I've been videos 3 years. I've been like, I have to do this stuff. I need to put some videos out there. I do all visuals and things on my LinkedIn and everywhere. And this morning I was having a conversation with my wife and I was like, all right, it's time. I'm going to get a shave. I'm going to put on a decent shirt. I'm going to do a video. And I recorded 5 of them and I edited one of 30 seconds, only a 45, I think was the first one. And I looked at it and I was like, yeah, I don't like my hair. I don't like the shave. I don't like the sound of every word that came out. And guess what? I'm going to put it out there anyway. And then my son came home, who is on my Instagram as well. He's like, hey, Dad, cool video. By the way, next time. And I was like, yeah, bring on the feedback or the criticism. They're just part of the game. But get it out there. There's one, I'll stop with this. There's one statement I heard from somebody many years ago. Version 1 is better than version none. So get it out there.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off you on there. It gets so much better with time. You do them and then you get better at doing them. And to answer, I realize I didn't speak to this. I have so much imposter syndrome myself, so much of who the hell am I to be talking about this, especially this kind of stuff. I used to say this in a lot of my old videos. I'm just a dude that fell into the Gene Keys and they resonate with me. Please take everything I say with a grain of salt because I am no guru. Like I am walking this path just like everyone else. But what I've realized is there are people on the path that are me 6 months ago, that are me a year ago, that I absolutely can reach back and help. And so my rule, and one of the ways that I overcome imposter syndrome, is more than half of the videos that I post, I do not listen to. I do not listen to myself. Like I record them, I throw them I use an editor called Descript, which is like it gives you a script of like what's it called? It transcribes what you say. And then that's how you edit. You edit from the transcription. So anytime there's a long pause, it just looks like dots. And so I can just delete those dots without ever having to look at myself because I cannot stand oftentimes, how I look or sound on video. So just FYI. Carmen, I want to circle back to you to give you an opportunity. I know your hand's down now. I don't know if you still had it, but.
Yeah, I can really relate to the imposter syndrome thing because when I do that to myself, oh my God, I get mad. And it's to what I'm doing. I get mad at what I'm doing to myself. And I say, shut the fuck up. You've done this. You have done this so much before. You know better than this. Come on. How many times do you want to go take yourself around this? So anyway, I've experienced that again somewhat lately because I am wanting to put myself out there with what I do well. I'm a very good portrait artist and developed it over years. And I'm wanting to marry it with Gene Keys somehow because I'm And so I've been asking myself, like, how the hell can I do this? And where am I going with this? What am I saying? When I came across your group, where I could just connect with people and bounce ideas around, and it's very free flowing, it's very laid back, I thought, okay, I'm going to connect. Maybe, just maybe, I found my group where I might, my tribe. I'm almost 70. I think I found it finally.
I hope so. You're certainly welcome to join, that's for sure.
Anyway, yes. And I'm also, part of what I'm wanting to do is, and I have attempted versions of this in the past, is I would also like to have, I'm sorry, an in-home group, a person-to-person group, but of my tribe. I would love to find people on Vancouver Island, southern Vancouver Island, where I live, to connect with. And to have, this is the kind of group that I would like to have in person, because the stuff that's come up today is phenomenal. So anyway, I'm very open to hearing back any ideas from people about how I can marry up the portrait work that I do with gene keys. And because in my heart of hearts, since the day that I was born, I have always wanted to reflect back to people the beauty of who they really are, their essence. And I do a lot of different artwork, and I have marketed it in the past. And the thing that I excel at is portrait work, because I'm able to, and I get this feedback all the time. People are very moved by seeing the essence of the person in the painting. I've had a lot of strong feedback on that. I thought, yay. The other aspect, the gene keys aspect, is the mystic in me that wants to say, look at how beautiful you are, and help them understand why they are as beautiful as they are. So that's my motivation. But I'm not a fucking business person. Ugh.
Understood. We should connect at some point. I'll reach out after this because that's my bread and butter. I can certainly help you there. Val, chime in. I know you're dying inside.
Oh my God. I just want to volunteer. Can I volunteer to be a portrait person and give you my gene keys? Oh my God. It's a beautiful idea, and I will spread it.
Well,
I'm good at spreading stuff.
The part that I'm still a little stuck on is the gene keys aspect of it. Is because I thought, okay, because I have been, one of my daughters introduced me to gene keys in 2019 or something. Anyway, I didn't get super serious about it until a couple of years ago, and really started applying it to myself. I still feel like I have enough of a grip on it to put together a personal profile to marry up to a portrait. And the other thing, so there's that aspect of it. The other thing that I don't want to do is the approach that I would want to take is to present a profile and make sure that there's no aspect of my agenda in there. You know what I'm saying? Be really clean, really clean with that. There's no influence, it's there for a person to find their own way, which is that's a big part of my profile. Is I'm very much bent on not influencing people, accepting them exactly where they're at. If something is requested of me, okay, I'll put my 2 bits in. but I will not I will not influence them. I want them to find their own way. So that's the other part of the gene keys part of my idea.
I'm hearing what you're saying so much, but I do have to say this. What influence do you think Richard Rudd has? Do you think he has no influence in the gene keys? Of course he does. It's him. It's Richard Rudd. We're all human. We are all human. Everything that we put out there is going to come at least a little bit from us. This is why we need Jay. This is why we need Jay, because Jay helps us to connect in a different way. It helps to bring it. So I'm just going to put it out there one more time. If you would like to work with somebody and volunteer, I will go face to face with you. I will let you understand my personality and share who I am with you to give you a sense of who I am so that you can put that on into a piece of art, because I believe in you. I see you. I feel it in my bones. I feel like this is one of the most beautiful things that you could give us in the planet. I feel it. So I'm willing. That's all I'm saying. Even if you're going, oh, I don't know about that. And you really try, I'm good. I'm willing to navigate that with you. If you want to try, I'm just letting you know.
You're willing to be my sucker?
Yes, 100%. 100%. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I would love to do that. So anyway.
Okay. Well, I guess I should put my contact information in the chat or something.
Please. Yeah, please do, Carmen. That'd be great. And then
I will do that. And I would like to eventually actually go through the Gene Keys site to see if they'd be willing to promote what my
immediate gut reaction is to use the cities. I think is the way to go, is to get that person's information and then use the city that speaks to you the most about that individual. Maybe you know that you have one of the spheres like that just sits with you. Maybe it's purpose or it's SQ or it's life's work that feels prominent for you. And then using that city as a lens through which to paint the portrait. And it could be that the word is actually included somehow in the portrait, or what I was thinking is just that is impacting the style of the portrait itself. What
I do with portraits is I'm working from photographs, obviously. When I first look at a photograph, there is an immediate rush of oh my God, this is what's going on here. And so that's the person's essence.
Mm-hmm.
I leave all other sources out of it. I'm just looking at that soul. So
honestly, it sounds to me like you're already doing this. It sounds to me that the essence that people are feeling is probably directly attached to the cities that they have.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I did think it would be, I was thinking of taking the city approach.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's their highest essence, that's their quintessence, right? And leave all the other work up to them. And maybe I've got more exploring to do to figure out how to put the two together. But I just thought it would be really cool to put some kind of Gene Keys, marry up the portrait work in some kind of Gene Keys format.
Consider that affirmed, and I encourage you to really spend some contemplation time with this as the artist.
Do I have any choice?
Exactly. Fair. Fair. Just stick with it. You know that those things happen. Anything creative happens in flashes. It's this moment of, oh, duh, like I should have, how did I not see that all along? So I encourage you to stay there.
Okay, well, I will thank you for your input, and all input is welcome. Like I said, I'll put my contact information in the chat.
Sounds good. Thank you, Carmen.
Thank you.
Keisha, thank you for waiting patiently. Coming your way now.
Hello, everybody. I'm Keisha, I'm new here. Not new to, I feel like I already know you guys because I've been watching every single wisdom call and just so grateful. Like I feel like I just feel like I know you guys already. I'm like, hey, hi, how's it been? I haven't seen you in a while, but I'm grateful for you, Jay. My sister says hi, Michelle, and you were on her podcast, Michelle Sorrow. So I talked to her this morning and she says, please tell Jay I said hello. And if she has a conflict of scheduling, otherwise she would like to be on these wisdom calls as well. And there's so much I wanted to say, I've been wanting to say, but doing my best to stay present the whole time you guys are sharing. And because I was like, oh yeah, I've got this. Oh yeah, I got focus, be present with everybody. But I wanted, like, every time somebody was sharing, I was like, yes, I can relate and I get it. I want to talk about Alex, what you were sharing with just the wanting to go, just finally put yourself out there because you've got something to share and you know you want to do it, but you got to get over yourself. It's what do I do? How do I do that? And I've been there. And so I wanted to, there's so many directions I want to speak on, but what I really wanted to just say is I'm new to the Gene Keys. I'm 52 years old. So discovering that through you, Jay, my mom discovered human design several years ago. It sounded like jargon to me. It was like, what the hell? You're on a different planet. I've been studying astrology since I was 14. To me, hearing human design and astrology, it was like, what the hell is this shit? And then this last year, my sister's, no, I found Richard Rudd, or a year ago, whenever she found Richard Rudd, and I was like, okay. But I was going on my morning walks and listening to this English lady that was speaking from the audiobook of the Gene Keys, and I could not connect to her her voice. There was no heart, no emotions. And I would have to listen to it like 40 times, Gene Key, over and over. I'm like, nothing's penetrating, nothing's sinking in. Message is not received. I don't understand. So then I found Jay through, I don't remember now if it was through my sister. I feel like it was. I think it was. And I was like, when was that? And it just doesn't matter. But I found you and it was a resonance. It was just like, yes, I love the way that you speak it, just like everyone else says it about you. I'm sure you know this now, or you got a gift of the way that you share it. And it's people like me and people on this call that need to hear it in the way that you teach it and share it and hold a container for it. And it's through you that I'm learning about me and about the Gene Keys and about my pathways and in a way that I can understand it. And so I'm so grateful for you for coming across your channel. And so just to say all that, to let you guys know that what I'm learning about, and I'm just in the very new activation sequence, the programming partners and the challenge and the breakthrough and the core stability and learning about the lines and learning that I know I'm a teacher. I've known that since I was 15 years old. And I remember sitting in my backyard going, I've got a big purpose, but it's been this chasing what that is my whole life. So I know that because of you and what you've said on your videos, that people like me with the line 6 in my life's work, we come into our own at around my age now. And so I know something's brewing. I just don't know what, but what the breakthrough that I'm having, the relief that I'm having right now in my life through the Gene Keys is understanding for the first time how painful Gene Key, the evolution 34.6, the forcing things have been for me, trying to force my purpose, force my life, force it to happen. And especially on social media. For 5 years, I've tried 10 different avenues: CBD oil, doing tarot readings, doing Etsy, doing essential oils, doing chakras, holding classes. And some of them have taken off. Some of them really did well, but then they didn't. And I was forcing it. And where's my clients? And where's the people? And where's my purpose? Where's my path? And all this frustration, all this stress and anxiety. When I came across realizing Gene Key 34, I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna back off. So that's where I'm at right now, backing off, not launching anything and pushing anything anymore, and just sitting with the Gene Keys. And I found some boring, monotonous job to write letters for the casinos right now. It's so not spiritual, but it's helping me be in this part of my life so I can relax and surrender. So what wants to bubble up naturally in me and not be forced can come through. So that's where I'm at in the present moment. And then of course it's coinciding with my programming Gene Key 34 with my life's work 20, which is be more in the present moment, be with the presence. And that piece right there connects. The 20 wants me to share what you guys have all been talking about, which I heard which is how I've understand the ahas that I'm getting around Gene Key 20 for me is how much I've not been in my body, how much I've not been, and how painful it is. And Jay, I can relate to some of your story with, first of all, I got 21 years of sobriety. I've dealt with panic attacks in this life, like debilitating. And they'll come on and then they'll leave for a year, and then they'll come on and it's agoraphobic, a panic attacks. Okay. And I just know that at some point, when it's not done, it's going to come back up and be another opportunity to work through those. But I've got debilitating chronic back pains, but they're not defining me. And that's what they have defined me. Let me back up. It has defined me. And on some level to a core wound of what's wrong with you. That one of my biggest core wounds is what's wrong with you. You're fucked up. There's, you got the short end of the stick. The cards weren't dealt right to you. You're just a blah, blah, blah. The whole shit story shadow, wherever that is. But as I heard you guys speaking today, I was like, yeah, feeling the sensations in your body, coming back to your body, coming back to just your hand on your heart, and just like, slowing it all down, because my Gemini mind will go 1,000 miles a minute, and just coming back into my body. And that's where I'm at. And so I'm working on realizing when I'm in my head 100 miles an hour and then dropping down into my heart. And I just experienced that just by talking to you guys with 100 miles an hour, and then just like slowing it down and just being more present to what I'm doing and where I'm at in my body, what's going on, how am I feeling, just connecting more. And I guess I'm saying all that to just let you guys know a little bit about me and where I'm at and my intention of being here is just tribe, connection, speaking the same language. And then I too believe that I will be doing something with the Gene Keys in pop-up communities that are happening we are the way showers. We are the light workers. We are the empaths. We are the lovers and the dreamers. We are the people. We are what we came for. I get the chills just even saying that. We are truly showing the way of what's possible. And it's not over, it's through. We're not bypassing it. We're doing the shit that people would never, ever do. What we're doing, what you're doing, Jay, what we're all doing. I don't know I'm sure you guys do know how deep and amazing it is, because this, to me, I wouldn't want it any other way but to be in a place where people hold space and containers for real authenticity from the heart, like vulnerability, and not try to fix one another, not try to save one another, not try to one up one another, but to really hold that beautiful space. And so I could talk for another 2 hours, but thank you for letting me share. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens going forward. And I'm happy to be a part of this call and be here with you guys.
Thank you so much, Keisha.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a quick story from my life that might give you some encouragement.
Yeah.
So my last business that I opened in 2017, I fought tooth and nail for the entire 7 years that business was open. When I started, I got there at 5 o'clock in the morning. I left at 9 o'clock at night, and I did that 5 days a week. On Saturdays, I was there at 7 a.m. and left at 2 p.m. And then I worked a full day on admin stuff on Sunday. I did that for years. And even when we started, it was always like the relief was like a month away, right? Like when this thing happens, then I'll be able to slow down and stop. When this thing happens, then finally, okay, I'm making $10,000 a month from this business. I'll just be able to like back up a little bit, let other people take over. Every single time.
Yeah.
It pulled me back in, and every single time it required of me to grind. Then fast forward to last November, so not even a year ago, that was when I shut down that business, because I recognized exactly what you recognized, which is that it's never ending. I'm just constantly fighting an uphill battle and struggling here. And just like you're in right now, it was from November of last year. Literally the only thing that I did until June or even July of this year was make those videos on YouTube. Everything else, I was not working. I was just in silence, and I was in a place of waiting. And what came from that is this, whatever this is, I still have no clue what it is, but it has been the easiest, the most natural process. Everything has just set itself up and teed itself off. And the impact is 20x what the impact was when I hustled from 5 a.m. until 9 p.m. So all of that just to give you encouragement and courage, because it is very hard as somebody that is a doer to sit there and not do. And that is the most valuable work that you can do right now, because when it is time, that seed is going to get planted in your belly and you're going to know, and then you start to move.
I love that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. And you think about what chop wood, carry water, right? It's just do what you got to do until what naturally comes in, the seed, like you said. And I know and I have a YouTube channel, and I know what excites me. And it's that's one excitement, which is I fantasize about getting doing van life and going all over the US and finding spiritual communities like this in person and just connecting. I don't want superficial shit. I can't deal with that. But it has to be. So anyways, that's what I keep thinking, one day. But in the meantime, the suffering comes from the painful thoughts, the torture, the shadow of the mind of thinking I should be somewhere else. I should be doing something else. When am I going to get mine? Where is mine? They have it. I don't. That's all going to just lead you to pain and suffering. And I just can't tell you guys, if you are grinding on something, if you don't know what's next, but you know that you're going to hang yourself, sorry, but you can't deal with what you've been doing a minute longer. Like Jay just stopped doing what he was doing. I just stopped pushing myself to do something that wasn't flowing. And to come to a standstill and just do nothing is more relief than anything. It's just, that's where I'm at. It's until what's next, and just holding the space for knowing and trusting that something you'll know when you're in the flow, when it's, so easy, you guys, to take your own. I'm a tarot reader. I'm a professional tarot reader, and I've been doing it for 5 years. And all the stuff I share with people intuitively from my heart and my soul, but then to turn around and give myself that as well. It feels cliche, right? Trust and you'll know you'll be in the flow. It all sounds like Abraham bullshit. Not Abraham. I liked Abraham, but like the new age shit. It's what I'm trying to say. It's easier to share with somebody else something authentic and what's real and what needs to be shared with them in the moment during a session when you have a client. And then it's different. It's just different to share it with yourself and be like, oh yeah, trust the flow. What does that look like? What does that feel like? I'm learning it. I'm learning that. So anyways, thank you again for letting me share.
You're welcome. And one thing I'll point out, and oftentimes we don't see it this way, but part of being in the flow is the waiting part. That too is part of the flow, right? We all try and tell ourselves that I'm in the flow when I have the creative spirit moving through me and I am making something or doing something. But it is absolutely part of the flow to take the periods of pause and the periods of rest.
That I needed to hear that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's 90%.
Yeah, exactly. It is. It is. Bush, I saw your hand, but I saw Mariana's go up and then down. I just want to check in with you, Mariana or Mariana. Did you want to chime in?
Yes. Do you hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to say I'm new to this, so I don't know how much I can help. But in my life work sphere, I have doubt as a shadow. And I read somewhere that I need to ask the right questions and answers will come to me then, because I have always asked questions, but it seems like they were not the right ones. So I started writing in a little book, and I write a question, and on the next day I think about it, and it's a different question now. It changes all the time. And I had a question about a week ago about a product that I wanted to make that I didn't I didn't know what it should be and how I should do it. And for the last 3 days, I wrote the question a week ago. And for the last 3 days, I have been working on it already. It is ready, and I have already sold 5 of it yesterday. So it works. And if you have a problem with your product, with the portraits, I think you might try it. It might work. Thank you for giving me the word.
Thank you so much for chiming in. I appreciate it. And I'm glad that you're finding better questions.
Yeah, it's a process.
It is. It's a lifelong process, I think. And that's really, I try to make that the focus of my work, is helping people ask the right questions, right? I do not have answers, but I might have some different questions, which might get us a little closer. Bushra, let's go to you. And anybody actually here, before you chime in, anybody that needs to go, please, you are not stepping on anyone's toes or hurting anyone's feelings. I know this was scheduled till 2. I have some extra time, so I'm going to hang around. If you can, that would be great, but you certainly don't have to. If people are leaving, I just quickly want to remind everyone that I am still working with or looking for a few more people to work with on a deep level. So going for anywhere from 3 to 6 or even 12 months, going into activation sequence or Venus sequence or Pearl sequence, and really making internal and external changes in your life. Like this call right here, I've got a call for people that are in that deeper engagement with me, and we talk weekly. And then monthly, I talk one-on-one to people, and it's like just a beautiful, it's coming together. This is coming together. Just a beautiful opportunity to really dive deep, and it fills my soul, and it's definitely helping, I think, the people that are there. So I just want to throw that up. And then Alex, I saw your hand go up first, and then we'll go over to Jan.
Yeah, I honor Bushra. Thank you so much for your courage. I can't imagine being in that experience. So I honor you, and I'm sure we all honor you. And going off what you said about having patience, I guess I have a question in regard to like what Jay would suggest in terms of what to do. So basically, I quit everything to go into my purpose work, and that takes time. Writing books, you don't get paid for unless you have a book deal. No, don't have that. YouTube, don't get monetized until months and months of videos. Like all the things that I'm doing, I know I'm finally meant to be doing everything, but I haven't been paid for months. Do you suggest that I go get a job that is super temporary just so that I can pay some bills? Because the thing that's saying don't do that is I barely have time to build this business. And then if I like put my energy into something else, that's even more time of like pause, of like my purpose work being on pause and not going out into the world. So I've been struggling with that.
I'm right there with you, Alex. I'm right there with you. So I'd like to know what anybody has to say about that question, please.
Yes.
You're not going to like my answer.
Yeah.
Because I don't know enough about your situation to be able to answer it, to be able to feel comfortable answering it.
Mm-hmm.
And it would require a good bit of digging to get to an understanding of that. What I can tell you is my experience.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that there is a force in this universe or world that is guiding things to work out in your favor?
Yes.
Do you believe that force is capable of ensuring that you will be supported in whatever way you need to be supported in order for your soul to bring itself into the world?
Yes.
Those were my answers as well. And so as I took that into consideration, I realized that I had a choice to make. And that choice was, am I willing to put my money where my mouth is? Or do I feel like I'm responsible still for doing all of this?
Mm. Wow. Yes.
And for me, it's not putting my money where my mouth is, because it's literally losing my home potentially that I haven't even been able to purchase yet. But every time I get a second job, it takes me away from my purpose.
Yes.
So I made a decision yesterday, and it was a tough decision, but I came to a final yesterday morning, because it was that second job that took me back into my shadow, that took me into that very brief, back into addiction, very briefly, because I pulled myself out very quickly. But I decided yesterday, if I lose my house, it's okay. It's only $160,000 house, but I cannot purchase it right now. Not yet, but I can. Never mind changing those words. I can. So I decided yesterday I'm following my dreams no matter what, and I'm just going to figure it out, because I can afford my truck payment and my car insurance. My business is mobile. So worst case scenario, I get a freaking camper and I move around, period. I'm willing to give up everything to serve my purpose on this planet. And I decided that yesterday. So thank you, Jay, because that's what I needed to hear. It just confirmed it. Thank you.
Here's a reality that I just want to bring into this conversation and awareness, is that the questions that I asked first, those answers need to be the truth for you. Because if they are not the truth for where you are right now, then the direction that you need to take is different, right? There is nothing wrong with doing what you're talking about, right? It might be time that right now is not the time to go full in on this path. It might be time, and that's why I said I needed more information, right? It might be time that you do need to get this other job, because you are not yet in a place that you feel fully supported, and you do still need to do some more internal work. Because unless you have that conviction and you show up in that energy every day, that's what gets the wheels turning. That's what brings synchronicity into our life. That's what drives this engine. And so you have to be careful that you're not doing any spiritual bypassing here and just like affirming yourself into, I believe.
Yeah.
I know I have a support system. Sorry, Alex. Sorry. I know I have a support system, and the whole system just flashed right in front of my eyes as soon as you said that, Jay. Yeah, you're right. The answer is yes. And I do have a support system. I just have a hard time receiving from other people. And I need to be open to receive and not do it all myself, because I'm not alone in this world. So thank you for that. And go ahead.
You're welcome.
I was just going to say thank you for reminding me, like, I've been more connected to the spirit world than the physical world my whole life, because that was the only thing that kept me here was to be more connected to the spirit realm. But thank you for reminding me that all the other things that I've did in my life had to take my sheer will to force it to happen. But this doesn't have to be like that, because I am going into what I was created to do, what I was made to do. So I have to release the trauma of all that burnout and all of the overwork that I've done before. It's not going to be like that. It's not going to look like that. And to remember, wait a minute, it's not just me that's orchestrating this, so I don't have to figure it all out, and I don't have to know all the answers. Thank you for reminding me of this. Oh my gosh. So this is not something I've ever experienced before, because I've never fully stepped into my purpose work before. So this is going to be a whole new path, not like the others that were extremely hard.
Yeah, that's one of the pieces of feedback that I take in. Is this a struggle? Is this hard right now? Because I'm a 6'2", so not only do I have those kind of visiony teacher lines in me, but 2 is all about flow and all about moving with the universe and trusting in things coming through you and reacting and playing and dancing. And so if I don't feel like that, I know that something is off. However, if I didn't, it would be very easy for me to think that what was off, let's put it this way. I could tell myself a big story about that could really derail me. And that's why I think it's so important to come into this place of faith before we get into like really stepping into this work. Like, it's tricky because it's the leap that proves to you that there is this force. And at the same time, you need to believe in the force in order for the support to show up. So that's why it's faith and belief, right?
Yes.
Jan, do you want to take us home?
Thank you. That's an honor. Thank you for that. At what is it right now? 8:20 in the evening here. No, it's just interesting when I was listening to Bushra and and the whole age appropriate thing, and Andre was talking about it as well. It was interesting. And I was like, what was I like when I was 27? And that's a long time ago. And there was a lot of energy and a lot of what do we do next and a lot of what's going on. And at 29 was like, nah, I don't want to have this political stuff going on. So at 29, I decided to start my own business, and at 30 I started doing it, and that's what I've been doing now for 26 years, which is interesting. And that's not always easy, right? We all have those moments where you feel like what's going on, but it's interesting when you go through the call. And I love making notes, as we talked about a while ago, and I hear Mariana talk about making notes and having a bunch of questions. That's what the Gene Keys do to me. They provide me with a whole lot of questions. And I just loved what Sharon said before: be of love and service. So going back to what Bushra said, right? Whatever age, be of love and service, whatever that means for you right now. Going back to what Alex said, is it this? Is it that? Be of love and service. And when I started contemplating about that a little bit more just before, I was like, yeah, but be of love. It's also about being on purpose and do our life's work from our heart, from love. And that it's all connected, but it sounds slightly different. So it gives a different flavor to what we're talking about here. And I think it's interesting when we talk about the work that we do. And for those of you who haven't connected yet, feel free to find me on LinkedIn. This name is more or less unique. So there's only one of them with this name that you will find online. There's not a whole lot of De Zwartes, which actually means black, as a last name. So if you want to connect on LinkedIn, please feel free to do so. You will see this thing behind me. You will see the human journey that we talked about last time. And there's a lot of potential information in there as well. I post a whole bunch of questions on my LinkedIn. I don't give you the answers, but I love giving questions and having conversations about those questions. And the ones that stood up right now, listening to Bushra and listening to Alex as well, but also listening to Carol, listening to everybody basically when it's about business and money. When I think about the be of love and service, do you do what you love, right? Are you in a place where you do what you love to make that money? And that's a key thing. My son, by the way, is trying to teach the youth right now. Are you doing what you're good at and what you want to become better at? Because that's what growth is all about, right? Just to throw in another question. But the other one is, what does the world need? And that's a question a lot of people are not asking themselves. So if you want to be of service, what does the world need? I had a beautiful conversation yesterday with somebody around that model. And this person was in a place where he didn't have to work, right? He has been doing all kinds of jobs before, big companies. And he said, money-wise, I'm safe, I'm good. But I want to do something useful. And then he said, I'm going to probably be working for another tech firm, because that's where he came from. And I said, so when you say tech, I said, so what do you think the world needs right now? And he was like, hang on, that's the question. And he was 54, I think, and I'm 56. And he said, I'd never thought about that. I said, maybe start there. If money is not an issue right now for you, if you've got all the money in the world to live until you are, do I know what age? If that's not the thing, why don't you do what you really love, are good at, and can get better at, and that actually serves the world, and hopefully people value you for doing? And that's what I'm picking up on the Gene Keys. There's a lot of It's funny when I think, Carol, when you said that before, you've lived your profile, right? When you look at the profile, I think we all live our profiles. The question is, where are we? Are we spending the majority of the time on the shadow side? Or do we actually recognize those darn things and start moving more and more into the gifts and feel and live a whole lot lighter, not with enlightenment, but a whole lot lighter than we do when we stay in the shadows? And that's why I love the Gene Keys. I only started this about 6 months ago. Watched the majority of Jay's videos. I think that in this book of 3 months of writing, I think half of it is actually listening to Jay and the whole sequences. And go to those videos. If you haven't done those videos yet, go to those videos. And if you feel like, but didn't he do one on life's work and evolution already? Yep, he did. Listen to it anyway, because there's new stuff in it every time. So but absorb it. Make your notes, ask your questions, figure out what it means to you. And I think that's where I leave it.
Thank you, Jan. I'm gonna bring up one more thing, and then we're gonna end this call. It won't be that long, I promise. One thing that I want to remind myself of and all of you of is that the reason the Gene Keys are so impactful, at least for me, is it provided me a path to God without having to go and live in an ashram in India. It provided a path to God through the people and situations that happen in my everyday life. So what I'm trying to get across here is what matters is the quality that you bring to the thing that you are doing.
Yeah.
What doesn't matter as much is the thing that you are doing.
Yeah.
Your life's work isn't so much, for me, it's failure, preservation, veneration. Preservation, that doesn't mean that I have to go and be like a park ranger and save the forest, right? Like, I can bring the energy of preservation, which is helping people to stop avoiding failure and instead of running away from that, turning towards what they actually want to bring into their lives. I can do that in any place, any role, any situation. And that just goes back to, if now doesn't feel like the time to take the leap, do not put that pressure on yourself. It's not the time.
Yeah.
Right? Keisha, it might be time to just chill and do nothing, or it might be time to also, like Keisha, get the job for the casino. Like, there are ways to bring your character and your way of influencing the world into everything that we're doing. And so I just want to remind you of all of that, to remove some of the pressure. You do not need to shift your life. You do not need to move. You do not need to quit your job. You do not need to do any of that. In fact, if you think you do, we got to turn inside more still. Keep turning in, because what that tells is that you are looking to change your internal state by shifting your external reality. And that is an endless game. Endless. Okay, I'm going to send it home there. Thank you all for being here. I will send out the recording once I get it up on the YouTube channel. Also, if anybody is interested in hopping on a call to learn more about what I'm doing, that link will be in that email as well. Our next call is in 2 weeks. So that is on, I'm pulling up my calendar, September the 26th. Also at noon Eastern Standard Time. If you are already here, you will get an email the day before that has the link to the call, so you do not have to sign up again. If you want to, if it makes you feel better to have the link, by all means, you're welcome to, no big deal. If you feel so inclined, share this with somebody. Share the link to register for the call. I'll put it in the email just in case. And just thank you guys. So much gratitude. I feel so much better after this. I hope you guys do too. And I'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.